The first time I saw her, I thought she was just another legend, one of those stories whispered across the colonies about beings that were too powerful to be contained. But legends often have a way of walking into your life when you least expect them to. And on the planet Xylar 7, under the copper skies that shimmered with constant auroras, I realized that this particular legend was very real and that she had already known I was coming. I had been sent as part of the Colonial Expeditionary Corps, a group tasked with investigating anomalies in Xylar 7's eastern hemisphere. Most of the planet was a wasteland of jagged metallic mountains and glassy plains, but hidden in the valleys were settlements of the Xyrian people, the humanoid species whose psychic abilities had become the subject of both fascination and fear back on Earth. From the moment our shuttle descended, I felt it, a prickling at the back of my skull, as though someone, somewhere, was peering directly into my mind. I shrugged it off, blaming it on the electromagnetic interference the planet was known for. But deep down, I knew that feeling was different. It wasn't interference. It was awareness. The Xyrians welcomed us cautiously. Their eyes glowed faintly in dim light, and they spoke in a melodic language that somehow bypassed translation devices. But it was her that drew me in, the Queen. She stood on a platform of black crystal, her silver robes flowing like liquid mercury in the wind. Her eyes, violet with flecks of gold, seemed to read every fragment of thought that crossed my mind. "You are here sooner than expected, human," she said, her voice echoing directly inside my head, bypassing ears entirely. I froze. Every instinct screamed to retreat, yet I could not move. How do you know that?" I asked aloud, though my voice sounded hollow even to me. "I know everything that matters," she replied. "I hear what you think, even the thoughts you don't dare speak. The fear, the curiosity, the hesitation. You have come to spy, and yet you also came because you are drawn to what cannot be understood. Is that not so?" I couldn't deny it. Even if I had tried, she would have known. She tilted her head slightly, an expression both amused and calculating. I realized then that the stories weren't exaggerating. She wasn't just powerful, she was omniscient in the psychic realm. The days that followed were a blur of observation and interrogation. The Queen, whose name I learned was Elira, invited me into her crystal palace, a structure that seemed alive, growing and pulsating in response to thought. Every surface reflected not just light but emotion, and I often felt exposed as if my mind were laid bare on a table for examination. Yet, despite the vulnerability, I found myself opening up. I told her of Earth, of the countless worlds we had colonized, of our hunger for expansion and knowledge. Every lie, every half-truth, and every hesitation she caught. "You are cautious," she noted, her voice still in my head. "Yet you are not deceitful. There is integrity in your curiosity, even if it is bound by fear." Then came the first test. She asked me to close my eyes and think of a secret memory, something I had never shared with anyone. I saw my childhood on Earth's Mars colonies, the day I had hidden in the hydroponics bay while a sibling raided our supplies. My shame, my fear, my childish defiance, all of it floated before her. She smiled. "You cannot hide from me, but that is not why you are here." "Then why am I?" I whispered, though she heard me perfectly. "Because the anomaly is not what you think it is. You came to study the planet, the Xyrians, and perhaps to assess our power. But there is something else, something beneath your thoughts, that drew you here, the instinct of survival, the knowledge that something on this world could change everything for your people." It was true. Our mission had initially been a simple reconnaissance, but my gut had been screaming otherwise. Something in Xylar 7 was different. Something potent enough to tilt the balance of interstellar power. And the queen knew I knew. I spent weeks in her palace. She revealed fragments of her world, the luminous archives, psychic networks that connected the Xerian population in ways that were simultaneously terrifying and beautiful, the memory pools, where ancient thoughts and experiences of every Xerian were stored and accessed collectively, and the Veil of Echoes, a psychic barrier that shielded her people from invasive minds, all except those she chose to reveal. And through it all, she never stopped listening. Every thought, every doubt, every strategic calculation I made was catalogued. I began to sense the duality of her nature. She was both mentor and captor, teacher and interrogator, protector and predator. One night, under a violet aurora that danced like fire across the sky, she led me to the highest tower of her palace. Below us, the land shimmered with crystalline forests that emitted soft pulses of light. "You see," she said, her hand tracing patterns in the air that shimmered into psychic glyphs, "the anomaly is not a machine, not a weapon, nor a mineral. It is a being, one of immense power, ancient and sentient, and it has chosen to awaken." I shivered. Chosen to awaken? Yes. And it has chosen you to witness it. Her gaze pierced through me, and suddenly I understood. She had orchestrated my entire presence here. Not as a pawn, but as a witness, a catalyst. My thoughts, my fears, my instincts, all had been guiding her decisions. She did not explain why, only that it was imperative that I see the being in its first moments of consciousness. And when it emerged, it was unlike anything I had imagined, a swirl of living light, forming shapes that shifted between humanoid and abstract, eyes of pure energy reflecting my own deepest fears and desires. "I am Xalar." It spoke, not through sound, but directly into consciousness. "And I am free." The queen did not intervene. She stood beside me, her presence a steadying force, and I realized the truth. She knew everything, but she did not control everything. Some things, no matter how aware, were beyond even her reach. "Why show me this?" I asked almost to myself. "Because," she said, "you must choose. Not for the Xerians, not for your people, but for the balance of life in the galaxy. You cannot hide from your mind, nor from your actions, and you will never be free from the consequences of what you decide." Days turned into nights, and every moment was charged with psychic tension. I debated, argued silently, and felt the weight of infinity pressing on me. Then came the decision. Xalar's awakening meant that Earth and the colonies could harness its energy, ensuring prosperity or destruction. Yet I also understood that interference could annihilate Xalar, Seven entirely. I looked to the queen. What should I do? She did not answer with words. She answered with a thought. Do not decide for them. Decide for yourself. And know that in doing so, you reveal your true self. It was a moment of clarity. I approached Xalar, and instead of commanding or coercing, I extended my intention. Peace, coexistence, mutual understanding. The being regarded me, its form pulsing with light that matched the cadence of my heartbeat. And then, it reached a decision of its own. Rather than aligning with Earth or any colony, it chose to bond with the planet itself, becoming a guardian, a living force of balance. The energy shifted, stabilizing the land, and the auroras pulsed brighter than ever before. Xalar, Seven had been saved, not through conquest, but through restraint. The queen turned to me, her eyes softening for the first time. You have done what many could not. Not because I told you to, but because you were honest with yourself. I still feel exposed, I admitted. As if you know everything about me. You are correct, she said, a smile playing on her lips. I know everything that can be known, but knowledge is not control. You acted freely. That is the difference between wisdom and tyranny. In the days that followed, I prepared to leave Xylar 7. The Xyrians escorted me to my shuttle, and I looked back at the Queen, standing alone against the shimmering horizon. "Will I see you again?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Perhaps," she replied, her voice once more echoing in my mind. "But remember this, knowing does not bind. And in time, all thoughts become actions. Be mindful of both." As the shuttle lifted off, I realized something profound. The Queen had not merely read my mind. She had guided it, tested it, and ultimately allowed me to find my own path. I left Xylar 7 changed, not only in knowledge but in understanding. The universe was vast, sentient in ways we could scarcely comprehend, and the line between fear and respect was thinner than I had ever imagined. And somewhere in the depths of space, I knew she was still listening, not to control, but to witness, and perhaps to teach. As the stars stretched into streaks of light across the viewport, I whispered, half to myself, half to the Queen, "Thank you for knowing me and still letting me choose." And in that instant, I understood the most terrifying and beautiful truth of all. Some beings hear every thought, yet they do not judge. They observe, and in doing so, they reveal the potential within us all.